Assalamu alaikum everyone. I'm your instructor Sania Gilani and this is the course of Rise of the Novel 18th and 19th Century. Today is our lecture number 23 and the topic is autobiographical elements in The Mill on the Floss. We will discuss one of the most fascinating aspects of George Eliot's The Mill on the Floss, its autobiographical elements. Among all of Eliot's novels, The Mill on the Floss is generally considered the most deeply rooted in her own life experiences. Critics often describe it as a semi autobiographical novel because many of its characters, relationships, settings, emotional conflicts, and personal struggles closely resemble events from Eliot's own life. George Eliot was the pen name of Mary Ann Evans, one of the greatest Victorian novelists. Born in 1819, England, she grew up in a rural environment, developed an unusual intellectual curiosity, and later challenged many social conventions of her age. These experiences found artistic expression in The Mill on the Floss, which was published in 1860. The novel tells the story of Maggie Tulliver and her brother Tom, tracing their lives from childhood to adulthood. On the surface, it appears to be a family story. However, beneath the narrative lies Eliot's personal history transformed into literature. We shall explore George Eliot's childhood and its influence on the novel. Maggie Tulliver is basically a self portrait of Eliot. Tom Tulliver is George Eliot's brother Isaac, and the family relationships in the novel are also very important. The role of memory and nostalgia will also play a significant role, and Eliot's intellectual and emotional struggles are also something we're going to talk about. Along with that, we will see social criticism derived from her own experiences and the transformation of personal experiences into art throughout this lecture. George Eliot's childhood and the world of Dorlcote Mill is very important to understand the autobiographical nature of the novel. Mary Ann Evans spent her early years in rural Warwickshire. Her father, Robert Evans, was a respected estate manager. Eliot grew up surrounded by fields, rivers, farms, and millers. These experiences left a permanent impression on her imagination. The setting of Dorlcote Mill closely resembles the countryside in which Evans grew up. Critics often frequently observed that the landscape of St. Ogg's and Dorlcote Mill reflects her memories of rural England. The detailed description of nature suggests the perspectives of someone recalling beloved childhood scenes rather than inventing an entirely fictional world. When readers encounter the opening chapter, they notice a remarkable sense of intimacy. George Eliot does not merely describe a mill, she remembers it emotionally. This explains why the novel is filled with nostalgia. The narrator often speaks of childhood as a lost paradise. The world of the mill becomes a symbol of innocence, security, and emotional attachment. The novel, therefore, begins not merely as fiction, but almost as an act of remembrance. Next is how Maggie Tulliver is a reflection of George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans herself. The strongest autobiographical element appears in Maggie Tulliver herself. Many scholars regard Maggie as George Eliot's fictional self portrait. Like Eliot, Maggie possesses extraordinary intelligence, emotional intensity, imagination, intellectual curiosity, and a rebellious tendency. She also has the desire for affection and approval, similar to the writer. From childhood, Maggie feels different from those around her. She loves books and ideas, yet society expects her to become a conventional Victorian girl. Similarly, George Eliot herself was intellectually gifted. She studied widely, read philosophy, theology, history, and literature, and constantly sought knowledge beyond what society expected from women. Maggie's famous frustration with social restriction mirrors George Eliot's own experiences throughout the novel. Maggie struggles against expectations regarding female behavior. She is criticized for being passionate, outspoken, and intellectually ambitious. George Eliot experienced the same difficulties. Victorian society encouraged women to be submissive, domestic, and dependent. Intellectual independence in women was often viewed as suspicious. Maggie's conflict therefore becomes George Eliot's conflict, the problem of female education. Another autobiographical feature concerns education. Tom receives formal schooling despite showing little enthusiasm for learning. Maggie, who possesses greater intellectual ability, is denied similar opportunities. This reflects a broader reality of George Eliot's time. Although George Eliot received more education than many Victorian women, she still faced limitations because of her gender. She understood the frustration of intellectual women living in a society that privileged male education. Maggie's hunger for books and knowledge represents Eliot's own lifelong intellectual appetite. When Maggie reads secretly or immerses herself in literature, we can see traces of the young Marianne Evans, who spent countless hours educating herself through reading. Thus, the novel becomes both a personal memory and a social criticism. Third point is Tom Tulliver and Isaac Evans, the similarities between the two. Perhaps the most obvious autobiographical parallel concerns the relationship between Maggie and Tom. Tom Tulliver is widely regarded as being based on Mary Ann Evans' brother, Isaac Evans. As children, Mary Ann Evans and Isaac were very close. Similarly, Maggie adores Tom. She seeks his approval constantly. His affection matters more to her than almost anything else. However, as both pairs mature, tension emerges, Tom becomes rigid and judgmental. Isaac also became increasingly disapproving of Marianne's unconventional choices. The most important similarity involves estrangement with the family. Marianne shocked Victorian society by openly living with the married philosopher and critic George Henry Lewes because Lewes could not obtain a legal divorce. Marianne and Lewis lived together outside marriage. Many relatives condemned the relationship. Isaac Evans was among those who disapproved. As a result, Mary Ann Evans experienced painful separation from her brother. This personal tragedy reappears in the novel. Tom repeatedly condemns Maggie and withdrew his affection when she violated social expectations. The emotional pain Maggie suffers reflects Marianne's own experiences of familial rejection, the emotional importance of brother sister love. One reason the novel feels so emotionally authentic is that Marianne was writing from personal experiences. The relationship between Maggie and Tom is not idealized. It contains many things, including love, but also jealousy, dependence, as well as resentment. There was admiration, but there was also conflict between the siblings. Such complexity suggests direct observation. The emotional intensity between the siblings drives the entire novel forward. Even Maggie's romantic relationships become a source of content. It becomes secondary to her longing for her brother Tom's acceptance. This reflects Mary Ann Evans or George Eliot's own emotional investment in her relationship with Isaac Evans. The novel can therefore be read as an attempt to understand and perhaps heal a personal wound. The fourth point is the Dodson family and George Eliot's own relatives. The Dodson sisters represent another autobiographical element. By the way, the Dodson sisters are a family that are important in The Mill on the Floss. Scholars have noted that the Dodsons were modeled partly on George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans' maternal relatives. The Dudsons were obsessed with respectability, social reputation, household management, family pride, and other things, including how they were perceived by society. Their conversations, values, and prejudices resembled those of many provincial middle class families known to George Eliot through these characters. George Eliot or Mary Ann Evans created the social environment of her childhood. She portrays them critically but also sympathetically. The result is a vivid picture of Victorian provincial life based on first hand experience. Maggie's spiritual and moral struggles are another important dimension that appears in Maggie's inner life. Throughout the novel, Maggie struggles between desire and duty, passion and self denial, individual freedom and social obligation. These conflicts resemble Eliot's own intellectual journey. As a young woman, George Eliot, or at that time known as Mary Ann, underwent a profound religious crisis. She gradually moved away from traditional Christianity and developed a more humanistic philosophy. This transition caused tension within her family and community. Similarly, Maggie undergoes spiritual struggles. She seeks moral perfection but repeatedly encounters the complexity of human desires. The novel reflects the author's own belief that moral life cannot be reduced to simple rules. Instead, drives morality requires sympathy, understanding, and self knowledge. Another important point about autobiographical dimensions is the theme of social judgment. George Eliot's personal experiences also shaped the novel's treatment of social judgment. After choosing to live with Lewis, the writer became a target of public criticism. Many respectable Victorians considered her immoral. She experienced exclusion and condemnation firsthand. In the novel, Maggie faces similar treatments after her association with another character, Stephen Guest. Even though Maggie ultimately chooses moral restraint, society still condemns her. This this parallels George Eliot's own frustration with a culture that judged individuals harshly without understanding their motives. Through Maggie, the writer exposes the cruelty of social hypocrisy and the societal conventions. Lastly, memory and nostalgia. One of the most important autobiographical features in the novel is the emphasis on memory and the narrative repeatedly returning to childhood experiences and their lasting influence on the adult life of Maggie and Tom. For Tom and Maggie, childhood memories continue shaping adult decisions. Similarly, the author's own memories remain powerful throughout her life. The novel often feels like an attempt to preserve a vanished world through fiction. The writer reconstructs childhood landscapes, family relationships, rural customs, emotional experiences, and memory becomes a source of comfort and a source of pain simultaneously. The Mill on the Floss is all about transforming life into art. It is important to remember that it is not just a literal autobiography, it's semi autobiographical. Eliot did not simply record events, instead, she transformed experiences into art. For example, the protagonist, Maggie, resembles the author but is not identical to her. Tom resembles Isaac but is not a direct copy. St. Augs resembles the author's own hometown but remains fictional. This artistic transformation allowed the writer to explore emotional truths more deeply than a factual autobiography could. The novel becomes universal precisely because personal experience is reshaped into literature. To conclude, The Mill on the Floss is perhaps George Eliot's most autobiographical work. Its autobiographical elements include a numerous amount of things, including the rural setting that was inspired by Warwickshire, the hometown of the author. Maggie Tulliver is a reflection of George Eliot herself. Tom Tolliver is a direct representation of Isaac Evans, the brother of Marianne Evans, the author. The Dodson family is based upon the author's own relatives, and the portrayal of female intellectual frustration is inspired by the author's own struggles. There's spiritual and moral struggles that are drawn from the author's own life experiences and social condemnation. The deep nostalgia for childhood and the past is basically the author screaming about her own nostalgia. Lilith's achievement lies not merely in recording her life, but in transforming personal experiences into a profound exploration of human relationships, memory, morality, and human struggles. And also, it is about acceptance and love for family. That is all for today's lecture. I hope you understood today's topic, in which we discussed in detail the autobiographical features that are found in Mill on the Floss. Till next time, see you soon. Allah Hafiz.